Imagine inheriting something that everyone else calls worthless. A barren rock in the middle of the sea, dismissed by the entire town as nothing more than a broken tooth jutting out of the water. That's exactly what happened to Gideon and Sterling Coulter, two brothers summoned to a lawyer's office after the passing of their eccentric uncle, Ezra. The deed handed to them described a rocky island with no value, no farmland, no trade routes, no settlers, and no chance of producing anything of worth. But Sterling wasn't convinced. While Gideon folded the papers, muttering about their uncle's declining sanity in his final years, Sterling's eyes caught on a second document hidden behind the deed. His face went pale as he read it, and when Gideon demanded to see, Sterling tucked it quickly into his vest pocket. "It says we need to go to the island today," he whispered with urgency. Gideon scoffed at the idea, ready to sell the land for quick cash, but Sterling's voice held a conviction that made Gideon uneasy. The lawyer finished his business, eager to be rid of the strange inheritance, but as the brothers left the office, a shadowy figure across the street watched them closely. By the time they reached the dock, Sterling still hadn't revealed the document's full contents, but his refusal to sell was absolute. Gideon reluctantly agreed to the voyage, unaware that the barren island would soon unravel a mystery far greater than either of them could have imagined. The boat ride across the misty harbor was quiet, save for the creak of oars and the rising wind. Gideon adjusted their supplies, still trying to convince Sterling to abandon the trip. "We could sell this land to Henderson," he argued. "He offered good money for nothing but rock." Sterling's reply was calm but chilling. "Henderson doesn't know what he's buying." At last he produced the yellowed document and placed it in Gideon's hands. Scrawled in Uncle Ezra's handwriting were notes about rock formations, compass bearings, and cryptic directions. At the bottom, one line froze Gideon's blood. "They cannot know what lies beneath until the brothers come together." As the island emerged from the fog like a jagged beast rising from the sea, Gideon felt his chest tight. They pulled the boat ashore, climbing onto terrain that appeared every bit as worthless as the townsfolk had claimed. Sharp rocks, scraggly grass, and nothing more. But then Sterling spotted something impossible to ignore. Stones arranged in a deliberate arrow pointing inward. Ancient tool marks scarred their surfaces, proving that someone had been here long ago, shaping the island for reasons unknown. Sterling matched the formation to Ezra's notes, his face paling as every measurement aligned. Their uncle hadn't been delusional. He had been protecting a secret, and that secret was leading them straight to the island's heart. Deeper into the island, the brothers followed the stone markers until they reached a natural amphitheater, surrounded by towering cliffs. At its center lay a massive flat stone carved with strange grooves that seemed more like instructions than decoration. Before they could study further, voices echoed through the air. Men, at least 3 of them, approached with boots crunching against rock, making no effort to hide. The brothers ducked into the shadows as the men entered, led by a sharp-eyed figure named Marcus. His words chilled them. Uncle Ezra had made a secret arrangement with these men, granting them access to the island's resources in exchange for silence. But Ezra's death, Marcus claimed, meant that deal now belonged to his heirs. "Your uncle discovered something here," Marcus said. "Something valuable enough to kill for." Sterling clutched the hidden document, realizing its worth as Marcus' eyes locked onto his vest. Just as the tension boiled, more voices erupted from the cliffs. Another group emerged, this one led by Caldwell, a government agent claiming authority to seize the island for illegal mining. The amphitheater became a powder keg, with Marcus' outlaws on one side, Caldwell's men on the other, and Gideon and Sterling trapped between them. But Sterling's eyes widened as he studied the grooves in the stone table. They weren't just markings. They were directions to an escape route Ezra had prepared for exactly this moment. He tugged Gideon toward a narrow gap in the rocks, just as Marcus and Caldwell clashed. The first gunshot cracked through the air, and the brothers slipped into darkness as chaos erupted behind them. The passage was narrow, damp, and suffocating, but it stretched deep into the island like a vein carved through solid stone. The brothers stumbled forward, guided only by faint shafts of light spilling from cracks above. Sterling unfolded Ezra's notes again, realizing with awe that these tunnels had existed long before their uncle ever arrived. Ezra hadn't built them. He had simply mapped and expanded them, hiding his real secret beneath TH. The island's surface. After what felt like hours, the tunnel opened to a ledge overlooking the amphitheater. Below, Marcus and Caldwell's men argued violently, but Sterling noticed something more alarming. The ground beneath their feet trembled with each shout. The ancient stone table fractured, revealing a hollow beneath. Ezra's notes revealed the truth. Beneath the amphitheater was a massive mining chamber filled with precious metals, sustained only by wooden supports Ezra had installed. But years of extraction had weakened the structure. The island itself was collapsing. A deafening rumble shook the cliffs, splitting stone and sending men scrambling for safety. Yet Sterling's attention locked onto another part of Ezra's map, a section labeled with urgent markings, the real treasure. It wasn't under the amphitheater at all. It was on the island's eastern shore. With the ground splitting apart behind them, the brothers fled, racing along hidden paths Ezra had documented 2 decades earlier. For the first time, Gideon understood. Their uncle had never been protecting a mine. He had been hiding something far greater. The eastern shore revealed a natural harbor shielded from the open sea. It looked ordinary, until Sterling noticed a narrow cave concealed behind weathered rocks. Clearing the entrance, they found a tunnel reinforced with careful craftsmanship, unlike the crude mines beneath the amphitheater. The path opened into a cavern that stole their breath. Gold coins glittered from wooden crates, silver bars stacked with precision, and gemstones sparkled like captured fire. But it wasn't just riches. There were artifacts, relics from forgotten civilizations, each meticulously labeled and cataloged. On a table rested Ezra's leather journal, filled with detailed entries explaining everything. Decades earlier, Ezra had stumbled upon this cavern already filled with treasure, likely hidden by smugglers or explorers centuries before. Instead of plundering it, he spent 20 years protecting and cataloging it, creating the mining operation as a decoy to keep treasure hunters focused elsewhere. The mine was never the real prize, Sterling whispered. This is what he protected. Gideon leafed through the journal, discovering letters of agreement with museums and collectors, proof Ezra's work was legitimate, not stolen. But their awe was cut short when footsteps echoed from behind. Marcus staggered into the cavern, his face dusted with ash from the collapsing amphitheater. His eyes widened at the treasure. "So this is what Ezra was hiding," he sneered. "And now it's mine." Marcus wasn't alone. As his men rushed in to seize the treasure, Caldwell appeared at the entrance, weapons drawn, declaring the collection government property. The cavern became a standoff, with Sterling and Gideon cornered between greed and authority. Sterling clutched Ezra's journal like a lifeline, then made a discovery that shifted everything. The final pages contained meticulous documentation, provenance records, letters of sale, and museum contracts. "This treasure doesn't belong to criminals or governments," Sterling declared. "It's legally acquired and already promised to legitimate institutions." Caldwell faltered, scanning the journal. Marcus' snarl deepened as he realized his claims held no weight. But before anyone could argue further, the ground shook violently. Stones rained from the ceiling. The cavern groaned as if the island itself were about to swallow them whole. In a moment of clarity, Sterling made a bold choice. He began passing containers of artifacts to anyone who would carry them. Enemies or not, they all worked together, forming a human chain to haul the priceless collection toward the harbor. Coins, bars, relics, all rushed out as the cavern roared with collapse. Greed and authority vanished, replaced by desperation. For a brief moment, survival united them. The last crate cleared the cavern just as the tunnel caved in behind them, sealing Ezra's secret forever beneath tons of rock. 3 days later, the brothers found themselves in a territorial courthouse, surrounded by rescued artifacts. Caldwell argued for government seizure, Marcus demanded compensation, and museum representatives pressed for their claims. Sterling calmly opened Ezra's journal and presented the evidence. Every artifact legally documented, ownership traced, and contracts established with legitimate buyers. The court examined the records and ruled decisively. The Coulter brothers were rightful heirs, not to a simple treasure, but to Ezra's carefully built antiquities preservation business. Marcus, threats crumbled without legal foundation, and Caldwell begrudgingly conceded to the ruling, recognizing Ezra's legitimacy. 6 months later, Sterling and Gideon stood in their new office, the Coulter Antiquities Preservation Company, reviewing requests from museums across the country. Their inheritance was no longer a worthless rock, but a thriving profession, dedicated to protecting history. The collapsed island lay buried beneath the sea, its tunnels silenced forever, but its greatest secret lived on through the brothers. Ezra's vision had become their destiny. The Coulter brothers learned that real treasure isn't always gold or silver. It's the legacy you preserve, the history you protect, and the truth you uncover when others see only worthlessness. From a barren island everyone dismissed as useless, they built a future rooted in preservation and integrity. And perhaps that's the greatest treasure of all. If you enjoyed this incredible tale of hidden secrets, family legacy, and the discovery of unimaginable riches, make sure to hit the like button right now. Subscribe to our channel for more powerful stories from the frontier, and tap the notification bell so you never miss a moment of mystery and adventure. And if this story captured your imagination, consider leaving a super thanks to support the channel. It helps us bring you even more immersive tales that transport you to another world. Because who knows? The next story might just reveal that what looks worthless at first glance could hold the power to change everything.